defended within the last week. I think the only ones that were not defended were the never open weight 6-man championship. I think everything else was defended. So we have a lot to talk about. Plus, we have massive news regarding the title situation at the top as well, which I think we'll get to near the end of the show, since it comes to play into the outcomes of this. But overall, we've had a lot of wrestling to watch over the past week, not only in New Japan, but AEW as well. They had their some women's matches last night. They have some happening in about an hour on YouTube from when we're recording this. We have some on Wednesday, and then, of course, we have the pay-per-view next week. We have the anniversary show of New Japan on Thursday. Then the New Japan Cup starts on, the next day? Or on that day, actually, because it's actually New Japan Cup first rounds on that show, on the anniversary show. So
also Stardom at Budokan on Wednesday, if that's your thing.
We have that as well. And then this past week we had, of course, Dynamite. Then on Thursday we had a Road to Castle Attack show that had a title match on it. Then we had the New Japan Strong show with the John Moxley match. Then we had Castle Attack on Saturday and Sunday. So we've had a lot to go through. Overall, as far as on the New Japan side, pretty strong showing, I thought, for the most part. Of course, there was one match that I just really didn't need to see for the most part. On one of the ones on the Castle Attack show, we'll get there. But overall, I thought it was a good showing, and all the title matches were good, I thought.
Yeah, it's been a lot, but it's been, quite enjoyable.
Overall, what did you think of these shows? I thought they were solid across the board. We had really good match out of Naito and Ibushi. That was excellent. I guess we should talk about the unfortunate that Hiromu Takahashi had to vacate because he tore his pec. So he was supposed to be in the Junior Heavyweight Tag Championship match on the 25th, and then was supposed to be in the Junior Heavyweight Championship on the 28th. So those got changed, with Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado facing El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori for the tag titles. And then we ended up getting a 3-way with El Phantasmo, Bushi, and El Desperado for the Junior Championship match, which I thought was actually a pretty fun match as well.
Yeah, man, Hiromu, poor guy, is just cursed. And of course, he does all of this insane stuff, and then he tore his pec and was out for 6 months because of something that went wrong at a house show. Just sucks. I was really looking forward to that Hiromu El Phantasmo match because they had such a phenomenal match at the Tokyo Dome. But Hiromu will be back, and we've got a change in direction for something that we've kind of felt was coming since the Best of the Super Junior, and some interesting stuff going on. And I liked the 3-way a lot too, and I've become over the course of the past several months. We talked about it when we covered Best of the Super Junior. Become a way bigger El Desperado fan, so I'm happy that he's getting this nice little push here. He's
definitely
don't want to I like the idea. So and we'll get there, but we've got Desperado challenging Ibushi for the double titles at Budokan on Thursday, and there's that the junior heavyweight champion doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning that match. But this will be the third time in a week that Desperado said, I want this match, and then got this match, and then the first 2 times he won the championship. So who knows?
As far as the Hiromu injury, do you feel like New Japan has been going a little heavy on their schedule as this year? Their Road 2 shows, they had so many shows every week running up to Castle Attack. They had the same thing running up to the New Beginning shows. It seems like they're running 4 to 5 days a week almost here.
Yeah, and I think that it's probably because just you can't have you still can't have full buildings because of COVID. And I think that's just a way, because New Japan like still runs based on ticket sales, so I think they're just running more shows just to try to, make a little bit of money to keep the company running, because they lost a lot of money. I mean, they came out better than they would have last year because of the success of the two big Tokyo Dome shows. Mm-hmm. But after like they are suffering monetarily way more than like WWE or AEW does, because of the nature of the business in the United States now. But Japanese companies still function on ticket sales, so they got to sell tickets to keep the lights on and keep employed. And so, I know that all of these like Road 2 shows at Korakuen with the same basic card is like a little repetitive, and probably like very few people actually watch all of them. I do, because I don't know, because why not?
I mean, I tuned into one of those shows. It looked like there was like 20 people in the stands. It was sparse.
Yeah, they finally this week they kind of changed the layout of Korakuen Hall to where it, like, the hard camera shot is looking at a logo instead of like empty stands like it usually does at Korakuen. But yeah, I think it's just trying to run a little bit just to keep the company going, doing what you can. But I think they've been kind of like cycling the roster in and out, like some guys you barely see on a tour and then they'll be back around on the next tour. But Hiromu, because he's been in such a feature spot, like he's been wrestling on every show, and it was just like I don't know exactly what the spot was, but it sounds like it was just like a freak accident on a spot in a house show. Naito missed a few of the Road 2 shows because of the knee injury, but was able to come back and work the match with Ibushi at Castle Attack. That, could have been worse than it was, but yeah, sucks for Hiromu. He's going to be out for like 6 months, and I don't know. Injury was probably just a freak accident.
Well, this isn't the first time he has torn his pec, I don't think, is it? I think he tore his shoulder once, so maybe that probably played into the pec. So that was before he broke his neck. I think he was out with a shoulder injury and then came back, broke his neck, and then came back, and now we have this.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, let's get this set up here. You are watching or listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. Tonight we are covering New Japan, basically from February 25th, 2021 through the Castle Attack shows, through the 28th here. Lots of title matches to speak of. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to eric@thatswrestling.com. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do these shows live both on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can pick your app of choice and follow the links in the show notes for those. Head over to your favorite podcast app of choice and drop us a review for the show as well. It really helps out. And there's also a Discord. You can come hang out with us as well. Follow us on Twitter @That'sWrestling1 with the number 1. And yeah, should be good from there. And back with me again is Trae Wisecarver. Good to see you again. It's been about 2 weeks since we last talked, so
still here.
Yeah, still here. So let's get into this. We'll go back to the 25th, and this is a show at Korakuen Hall, and this is the Road to Castle Attack. Right at the beginning of the show, Hiromu came out and he had to vacate the title belt, and due to the torn pec. So the match that we have of note is Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado taking on the champions of Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo. Kanemaru and Desperado attacked while EOP and Ishimori were removing their ring entrance gear, so they attacked right away before the bell. The champs get the heat on Desperado for quite a while. EOP does some of his lame spots where he flips around a while and does a back rake, and he actually did a titty twister in this match. ELP takes a crazy bump off of a low drop kick where he spiked himself right on the he was vertical when he landed on his head. It was a pretty awesome, it was perfectly fine. He had it actually took it all on the elbows because he had his arms over his head, so he landed forearms first right above his head. So it was safe, but it looked awesome. Kanemaru works a figure 4. Good back and forth between Ishimori and Desperado. Lots of counters. Desperado works a numero dos until Ishimori flips out of that into a yes lock, and then we go back to a numero dos again. Ishimori rolls out of that. We have some double team from Kanemaru and Desperado. Then Desperado gets on the numero dos once again. ELP flies in to break up the submission. We have a double team lung blower moonsault from the champs for a 2 count. Flying knee, neckbreaker, double team for a 2 count. 450 splash on Desperado for a 2 count. Kanemaru actually has to break up that pin. We have a double knees and then a frog splash to Desperado and for a 2 count. ELP goes for a super kick to Kanemaru, but Kanemaru catches it and throws his foot at Ishimori, which knocks Ishimori silly and takes him out. Desperado picks up Ishimori, hits a pinche loco, and Kanemaru has ELP tied up. So Desperado pins Taiji Ishimori, and the replacement players are now the new junior heavyweight tag team champions.
Yeah, I wonder if Hiromu and Bushi were going to win that match, or I didn't anticipate that at all. I wonder if seems like ELP's been in Japan for like 2.5 months, so he's probably gone home now for a little while, I think. So maybe they were going to get the belts off of them anyway, but I wonder if they were going to take the belts off of them anyway, or if this was just a part to enhance this Desperado push that's going on. But anyway, it was a good little match. I liked the finish with the turning the loaded boot against Ishimori. I thought it was pretty cool. And
yeah, that was one thing. I thought how it played out. I did not think they were going to go the direction that they did. And of course, with the replacement players being the one that actually win, which makes you think, okay, what was the original plan? It doesn't make a ton of sense for Bushi and Hiromu to get the titles, unless it is that ELP was going to head back to the US and was going to be here for a while. But even then, it wouldn't be a huge deal because he's probably going to come back in a couple months anyways for around Dominion time, I'm guessing. I mean, we're going to have best junior. Yeah, exactly. We're going to have best of the Super Juniors, in like late April? Probably starting late April?
Late May, typically.
Yeah, well, Dominion's usually like the first week of June, right? So I guess
usually like the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually like the middle.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess it depends on how... So, he'd be back relatively soon anyways if he was coming back for Best of the Super Juniors, which I'm assuming he is. So, I'm curious where it was going to go, but this is where they did go. So, we have Yoshinobu, Kanemaru, and El Desperado regaining, because they lost it to the at Wrestle Kingdom to El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. At Power Struggle,
like last month. No, at Road to the New Beginning, like a month ago.
Was it really?
Yeah,
I thought it was. I can't.
No, it was. Hold on, I have it right here. January 23rd.
Was it really? I thought they went back to Wrestle Kingdom on that one.
No,
because ELP
beat.
ELP was
Wrestle
against
Kingdom. They beat Taguchi and Master Wato.
Yeah. All right. I'm getting there's so much stuff kind of jamming into my head that it's hard to keep track of all this stuff. Post match is when they say that it's going to be a 3-way with El Desperado, ELP, and Bushi for the title on the 28th. So we move on to the next night, February 26th, 2021 in Los Angeles, actually like November 20th, 2020, but that's when it was taped, but this is when it was shown. Kenta versus Jon Moxley for the IWGP US Championship. I thought this was a pretty fun match. It was very weird again, having it in an empty, basically a completely empty arena. So it actually went a lot shorter than I thought they were going to go. I think they went about 15 minutes, which is long for an empty warehouse essentially match. But Moxley goes early for a bulldog choke. They end up fighting on the outside. Moxley gets DDT'd onto the briefcase that Kenta had. Kenta hits some really hard kicks into the back of a sitting Moxley. Tons more kicks from Kenta. Moxley catches one of them and stands up. They have a stiff exchange of forearms. Moxley dives to the outside, and they did not have a whole lot of padding, and Moxley cleared the padding and landed directly onto the concrete. Moxley hits a jumping knee off of the stage that looks like it missed by a mile, but they cut the camera so you couldn't really tell. It basically hit Kenta in the stomach, where instead of like what they played it off as to the face. Kenta landed across the timekeeper's table, so he whacks Moxley in the head with the title belt. After Moxley had set up a table, so Moxley is set across the table, and it's bending a lot because they remove so much bracing from this table instead of just weakening the table.
This was not a Japanese table.
This was not a Japanese table. This was a WWE table, like flimsy as flimsy can be table. Kenta hits an elbow drop off the top rope through the table on the floor. Kenta hits a big boot to the face in the corner, and then the basement drop kick, double stomp off the top rope to the chest for a 2 count. Moxley fights off the game over. Kenta fights out of a bulldog choke. Kenta goes back to a game over. Moxley gets to the ropes. Moxley avoids a go to sleep, hits a DDT for 2. Moxley yells, "You're done, Kenta. You have to pay for all this shit now." And then Kenta throws up the double middle fingers, and with like the most stereotypical Japanese accent, "Fuck you, Moxley!" And then Moxley gives him a Death Rider, and it is all over. Jon Moxley retains the IWGP US title. I was up in the air in this one, but I was leaning Jon Moxley retaining the title because it kind of made sense, so that's what happens. And he is now, I wrote in the chat, the 4th longest of any of the active titles singles reign, or the 7th if you add in some tag titles. He's at like 423 days now.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning toward Moxley too, and if the forbidden door is open, there's no reason, not to. I thought it was as good a match as they were going to have in an empty building. It was fun, entertaining, and yeah, I wonder. I don't know. Well, you know what? It's time for the New Japan Cup USA again as well too. So I guess that'll set up Moxley's next challenger. They've been out. I was just looking at, I guess the next New Japan Strong tour is Strong Style Evolved, and they've got a couple of New Japan Cup USA qualifying matches. So I guess the tour, after this will probably be the New Japan Cup USA, and that will set up Moxley's next challenger. You know who I want? It's a little like I want Filthy Tom Lawler. I think Lawler and Moxley would
be awesome. That'd be really fun. And I kind of like to see it actually happen on AEW TV.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know if Lawler has a contract with MLW, but they worked together before, so that would work. But yeah, that's just. But Tom Lawler just feels like a guy who's made for New Japan, so I like that. I like that he's getting a shot on New Japan Strong, and yeah, I think it'd be really cool to see Lawler and Moxley.
Yeah, and there's something I wanted to say about that too. Oh, isn't that the whole point of a bracket, is to have qualifying matches? So isn't a qualifying match just an extension of the bracket, anyways?
Yeah, I suppose so.
If you win the match, you move into the tournament. Isn't that the same thing as starting on the outside of the tournament, anyways? But overall, I thought this was a fun match. We have Moxley retaining and, like I said, going on to having one of the longest title reigns ever for any of the active titles in New Japan. So Good there. We move on to night one of Castle Attack. This was February 27th in Osaka-Jo Hall. This, other than the opening match, was basically Bullet Club versus Chaos across the board, setting up basically the following night, which was almost all Bullet Club versus Chaos as well. So we had the kickoff match was the one match that was not a Bullet Club versus Chaos. This was the United Empire of Jeff Cobb, Great-O-Kahn, and Will Ospreay versus Satoshi Kojima, Hiroyoshi, Tenzan, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. No B at ringside. She actually had a Stardom event that night, so which she did win her match, but I forget who it was against. Tanahashi looked pretty good at the opening. He moving relatively well, takes out the entire Empire on his own, pretty much. Great-O-Kahn has a rough time with Kojima and tags out. Khan and Ospreay turn things in their favor, but as soon as Khan gets tagged back in, Kojima beats him up once again. So, he cannot do anything with Kojima. Great-O-Kahn then goes 50-50 with Tanahashi for a bit. Ospreay flubbed a springboard. He was going to do a pip-pip cherry-o, but he flubbed the springboard. He slipped right off, landed on his feet, but then basically turned it into a rolling forearm instead on Tenzan.
Yeah.
Khan hit the Eliminator on Tanahashi. Cobb hits Tour of the Islands on Kojima. Ospreay hits the Os Cutter on Tenzan, and he pins Tenzan for the victory. I thought this match was fine.
Yeah, a recurring theme of the tour has been Tenzan not knowing what to do now that he can't do Mongolian chops. A lot more of that here.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll talk about where that goes the next day.
Yes.
Yep. But, yeah, fun little match. And Ospreay pinned Tenzan, and Tenzan gets his chance at revenge in the first round of the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to talk about some of the matches up early in the New Japan Cup, because it is a stacked New Japan Cup this year.
Yeah, and also, the Empire has been trying to recruit Yota Tsuji, who is Tanahashi's young boy. Correct. So there was some more of that here to play into the match the next day.
Yeah, Ospreay calls for the mic, and Great-O-Kahn says, "Everybody bow down to the power of the United Empire." Khan then holds the never open weight title belt up and puts his foot on the chest of Tanahashi before he lays the belt across his face and walks away. And then it's made a point about Yota Tsuji had handed him the mic, and Khan have a bit of exchange of words on the outside as well. Tsuji being Tanahashi's young lion, and he's always out there with cheering on Tanahashi during his matches, and they're trying to get him to turn on his mentor.
I feel like I've seen the storyline before, like really recently with Tanahashi and a mentee and a heel group.
Had to have been a long time because I don't remember it.
No, what they did with Ibushi and Suzuki-gun last year is what I was.
Oh yeah.
I was joking about.
Oh yeah. A little different, but yeah.
Yeah. Ibushi's not a young lion, but still.
No, next up we have, basically it's a deconstructed card of what's going to happen the following night. So we have here Yoshi-Hashi versus Tonga Loa. They're going to have a tag team match the following night for the heavyweight tag titles. We have a lot of back and forth. Goto does get involved, tripping Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi's strikes are pretty useless through this match, as Tonga Loa no-sells a lot of them. Really wanting a fight out of Yoshi-Hashi, kind of trash talking the entire time. Yoshi-Hashi hits a power bomb after Tonga Loa, pulling Tonga Loa off the ropes for a 2 count. Tonga Loa is taunting Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi hits 6 super kicks in a row, then a backstabber, then a top rope swanton for a 2 count. Locks on the butterfly lock. He even adds in the Kimura. But Goto comes in with the kendo stick. Yoshi-Hashi disarms him. and then Tonga Loa accidentally punches Jado in the face. Yoshi-Hashi hits a dragon suplex, hits a Meteora, but then Tonga makes his way down to the ring, and Tonga Loa picks up Yoshi-Hashi, hits ape shit for the win. I thought this match was fine. He's trying to pull out a fight out of Yoshi-Hashi the entire time, just kind of running him down verbally. So, interesting tactic.
I liked this. Yoshi-Hashi, most improved wrestler of 2020. Mm-hmm. Tanga Loa, I've become a way bigger fan of the past, several months. I thought this was a fun little match here. I enjoyed it.
And the best was they're out there. They're beating down Yoshi-Hashi. Goto runs in for the save, and the bell just rings while they're brawling because the next match is Tonga versus Hirooki Goto. So that match just starts. So like I said, the kind of a deconstructed matchups of the following night. They go to the outside. Goto sent in the barricade, then the ring post. Tonga distracts the ref. Goto gets hit by Jado with the kendo stick. They go back and forth. Goto pushes out of a gun stun. Tonga misses a frog splash and gets elbowed in the back of the head. Tonga Loa runs in, but Goto sends him packing and then punches Jado off the apron. Goto blocks 2 gun stuns and hits a GTR and gets the victory. They also mentioned that Goto is 6-0 against Tonga in singles matches.
Yeah, nice match. Pretty short. Closing stretch was good. Mm-hmm. And that brought us 1-1 in the Chaos Bullet Club series.
Now we move on to the match of Chase Owens and Toru Yano in the Yano Rules Texas strap match for the KOPW provisional title for 2021. So basically the rules are it's a Texas strap match, but instead of having to touch each of the corners, it's the last corner pad removed is the winner. They even go on and tape They clasp it and then they put tape around the loops as well. So they tape the strap to their arms. I actually thought this was a really fun match. I thought some of the comedy worked pretty well, especially on Chase's side, kind of getting foiled a lot of the times by Yano. Yano whips Chase with the strap. Chase keeps running away out of the ring. He rolls out of the ring, but Yano pulls him back into the ring. He tries to get out of the ring, back in. Yano chokes Chase with the strap, and I'm curious, what the hell is the ref doing putting his hands in there? He's like, it's a strap match. There's no DQ. He can choke him all he wants. Yano removes the first pad. Chase he jumped out of the ring and basically used the strap to pull him into the ring. He starts to whip Yano. Chase tears off Yano's shirt so he can whip him across the back. Yano had a pretty good bruises on the back by the time this was over. Chase removes the corner pad, tosses it to Yano, and drop kicks Yano into the exposed corner. Back on the outside, it's funny, Yano's shirt is still stuck on the strap because he took it off over his head, and basically they were having a tug of war through the barricade, and the shirt was just the perfect tug of war flag in the middle of the strap. Both guys send each other into exposed turnbuckles. Yano distracts the ref to hit a low blow. I wrote why. He can't get disqualified for it. He goes to remove the last turnbuckle pad. Oh, actually, on the outside, we have Chase Owens. He tapes Yano's fists closed, so he doesn't have any fingers to be able to untie the straps with. So when Yano goes to take care of the last turnbuckle, he cannot untie them. He keeps getting pulled back. He does manage to remove the tape, but Chase ends up hitting Yano with a jewel heist. Chase goes out of the ring, pulls Yano into the corner, runs him into the barricade, and then Chase pulls up the padding on the floor. Chase wants to go for a pile driver, but he ends up getting backdropped onto the floor. Yano tries to get the last turnbuckle, but Chase is laid out on the floor, so he can barely get across the ring. And then Chase hits Yano with the bell, and now Yano is the dead weight on the outside, so Chase can't get to the opposite corner. And then back into the ring, Chase tosses Yano back into the ring. Yano pulls Chase away from the corner. Chase gives Yano a knee to the face. He undoes the top set of ties on the turnbuckle, but Yano pulls him away, so he can't undo the last one. Yano pulls Chase in, hits a power bomb, and then Yano pulls off the last turnbuckle pad and retains the KOPW provisional title. I thought this was actually a pretty fun match.
Yeah, this did not hit for me because like it was comedy, but then also like it was really silly. But then also they were whipping the shit out of each other with a leather strap, so it was like the worst of both worlds. And it got to a point that I literally wrote, "This is so dumb. I'm just gonna let Eric describe it and agree." And then, Yano hit the Oni Kuroshi and then won.
All right, we go back to another singles match, Bullet Club versus Chaos. We have Tomohiro Ishii and Jay White. They have been up each other's ass for a long time at this point. They also mentioned that Ishii is 2-0 against White as well.
I was surprised by that statistic.
White does the usual running around on the outside of the ring, trying to get Ishii to follow him. Of course, he eventually does. They go back and forth in the ring on the outside. White runs. I don't know what he... White gets on the outside. He fakes a knee injury, and while the ref is tending to White, Goto on the outside throws Ishii into the barricade. Back into the ring, Ishii just trucks over White with a shoulder block, and then once again outside into the barricade, both of them. White ends up limping up the entranceway, and slow. It's slow going. Ishii follows, and what was this? I am totally thinking. Like, I was trying to think ahead of what I had written down, but I realized that's the wrong match. That I was thinking what was about to happen. White limps up the entranceway to slow things down, but as soon as White gets back into the ring, Ishii attacks. White snaps Ishii's throat across the top rope and then drops him across the barricade, and this is kind of a running thing for the rest of the match where he has bruised the ribs here, and White just goes to town on the ribs throughout the rest of the match. Forward, we have on the outside, White gives Ishii a suplex into the barricade. And we gave one into the turnbuckle that looked like it sucked, and then immediately into the barricade on the outside. Blade Buster for 2. Ishii headbutts White, but White ends up hitting a Uranagi for 2. Kiwi Crusher for 2. And then we have stomping on the ribs. Lots of forearms to the ribs, and then Ishii no-sells some regular forearms to the face, but a knee to the ribs does the job there. Ishii hits a jumping headbutt to the chin while Jay White was sitting up on that looked like it hurt. It looked like he went full force right into his face. Ishii hits a superplex for a 2 count. Goto jumps up onto the ring, and Ishii takes the bait, gets punched in the ribs, and then White hits a Saito suplex, a Regalplex with a bridge for a 2 count, and then White gets dropped with strikes. White hits a vertical brainbuster for a 2 count. Ishii blocks a Blade Runner, hits a release German, and is the first to his feet. Ishii hits a Enziguri and then powerbomb with a high stack for 2. Goto gets into the ring. Ishii blocks a low blow throws White into Goto, hits a sliding lariat for 2. They reverse each other's finishers a zillion times, and then White hits a sleeper suplex, pulls Ishii to his feet. Ishii hits a short-armed lariat, headbutt, some more reversals until White ends up hitting a Blade Runner and gets the pinfall and makes it 2-1 against Ishii.
Yeah, I thought this was a strong match. White worked the ribs a lot. Ishii chopped White in the throat several times. That was painful. I appreciated the headbutt violently up under Jay White's chin. That was vicious. And then there was another not as bad, but another pretty good headbutt right before the finish. But then when they were like countering each other's moves a bunch, but then White hit the Blade Runner for the pin, and this was quite good, I thought. And all tied up at 2 each going into the main event.
Yeah, this is hard-hitting match, back and forth. I don't know how long. I think it went 20, 25 minutes, something like that. I don't have the actual...
25, 42.
All right. I knew it was somewhere 25 to 30 in that range, so... Solid match between the two of them, and a longer match out of Ishii. You usually don't see Ishii going that long in a match. And one thing I actually just noted in my head, it looked like these two were still like dry as a bone. It's like they were not sweating, even going like 25 plus minutes. It was pretty crazy.
Osaka in February, man.
I guess. But somebody else was sweating to death. No, yeah. Tonga Loa was like drenched after his match, so could have been that cold. And then we see the match that I really had no desire to see at all, and this was another Kazuchika Okada versus Evil match that I just did not need to see. Okada takes control in the early stages. On the outside, of course, Dick Togo distracts Okada, lures him through the ring. Evil decks Okada here. And then we have pretty much every Evil match that we've seen for the past year. Knock over the timekeeper to distract the ref. Chair around the neck. At some point, a turnbuckle pad was removed. It didn't happen on camera, but that always happens during these matches. Okada gets sent into that. Some more Dick Togo bullshit on the outside. Evil misses the running senton to create an opening for Okada. Okada hits a DDT for 2. Evil gets drop kicked off the top and crashes down to the apron and then to the floor. Togo walks. That was not that. I totally wrote this incorrectly. I wrote Togo walks down Togo up the entrance ramp. This was Okada walk down Togo up the entrance ramp. Evil comes in and follows, but Okada saw him coming. He ends up hitting a DDT at the same time on both guys on the entrance ramp. Okada walks back towards the ring, but thinks about it. He's like, no, I'm going to win this in the ring, and drags Evil back to the ring. We have the ref-assisted kick from Evil, Fisherman Buster from Evil for a 2 count. More Dick Togo bullshit, and Okada hits the backpack neck breaker for a 2. Evil hits a suplex, then works a Scorpion Deathlock. Okada gets to the ropes. Evil hits everything. Darkness Falls for 2. Evil goes chest first into the exposed turnbuckle, and then, of course, Evil distracts the ref. Togo hits Okada in the back with a chair, and then gets in the ring. Okada takes Togo out, and then Okada puts the money clip on Evil. Evil is grabbing the ref. The ref pushes him off. Okada hits a tombstone, goes back to the money clip. Evil ends up pushing Okada into the ref. Okada hits a spinning rainmaker, puts on the money clip. Togo runs in to choke Okada with the garrote, and Okada gets out, takes Togo out once again. Evil punches Okada directly in the balls, and while he is down, Evil goes over to pick him up, but Okada up kicks Evil right in the balls, so what's fair is fair, I guess. And Chris had the greatest line. He had, an eye for an eye will leave everybody blind. A kick in the nuts, I don't know how to end that sentence. Okada hits a spinning tombstone, goes back to the money clip again, backbreaker, back to the money clip. Evil gets to the ropes. Okada hits they called it a Rainmaker, but it was a short arm clothesline. Evil hits a release overhead throw, and then a release head and arm suplex. So he basically had a head and arm triangle choke, but then turned that into a suplex. Then hit a massive lariat for a 2 count. They block each other's finishers a bunch of times. Okada hit, I think it was a Tenzan driver. I'm not sure what it was. It kind of looked like the mix between a Falcon Arrow and a Tenzan driver. I don't know what it was. And then he hits the Rainmaker and gets the win with the good old-fashioned Rainmaker, which he should just stick with and scrap the money clip. He uses it too often, and people escape too much at this point. I don't know how much he can really get it over.
Yeah, Okada and Evil had some really great matches, like back to the previous version of Evil, like LIJ Evil.
Yeah, like
really
the
awesome.
G1 2018 when Evil was having like awesome matches every night.
Yeah, when Evil beat Okada, they had that really awesome match, and they had a title match that was good as well, I think. I'm sick to death of this Evil shit too, and I watched this live, so it was like after 3:00 in the morning when this match was on, and my last few sentences, more shit happens. Okada determined to win with that damn money clip. 26 minutes. This is unnecessarily long. Many counters. Finally, Rainmaker. This was fine, but unnecessary.
Yes, that was definitely it. And it should have swapped. It should have been Ishii and Jay White as the main event, because that was significantly better match.
Yes, I agree, but it's a cut.
And Jay says, money clip is awful, Evil is awful, everything is awful. And I think she might have stayed up and watched it live too. I think I might have seen that in the on the Twitter, but I'm not sure. And she said she did. Kind of. Post-match, Okada says the win felt good, says he took out the trash. There's still something needling him in the background, though. He wants back into the title hunt. But there's a proper order of things, and he's going to the New Japan Cup, and he's going to win it and get back to my rightful place. Says the double title thing isn't for him. He wants to rescue the title scene by winning the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, and I want Okada back in the title picture because he's the best in the world, and he's been doing nothing for the past couple of years. I feel like April is too soon to do Okada and Bushi again. But maybe that feels like either a match for Dominion or next year for the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, I don't think Okada's going to make it through I don't think he's going to win the New Japan Cup. But I don't have an idea who is either.
Yeah, I don't. That's meant last year we had this awesome New Japan Cup bracket that I was so excited about, and then the world fell apart. And then, but this New Japan Cup bracket is pretty awesome, and we'll look at it on the back end and see if we can figure out what we think's going to happen here.
All right, we move on to Castle Attack Night 2, and we end up having 4 title matches on this show out of the 6 matches on the card. So we start off the night with Jeff Cobb and Will Ospreay versus Satoshi Kojima and God, I always screw up his name. Hiroyoshi Tenzan. Cobb and Ospreay attack before the bell. They work on the outside. Cobb holds Tenzan. And Kojima on the outside for a crossbody, but Ospreay ends up landing on Cobb as the other two manage to escape. We have another miscommunication where Kojima was being held by Ospreay, and Cobb goes for a chop, and Kojima ducks it, and he ends up chopping Ospreay instead. The Empire turns it around, though, on Kojima for quite some time. Tenzan gets, I'm going to call it a lukewarm tag. He does turn it around in the vet's favor, but it was kind of slow going. Cobb and Ospreay mock Tenzan with a bunch of Mongolian chops back and forth. Tenzan then uses them anyways. So much for the stipulation, but the commentary is trying to rename them different things. And I think in the end, they called them Osaka hacks.
Yeah. Yes.
And all these other funny names for them so they weren't called Mongolian chops. So basically, I wrote, so what's the punishment for using them? That's not a DQ or anything. Then we have a assisted Koji cutter for 2. Tenzan hits an I don't know whatever they said buster. Did you catch what?
Anaconda Buster.
Anaconda Buster. So they were talking. I can tell what they called it. Then Kojima wipes out Cobb with a lariat, and Kojima pins Jeff Cobb for the victory. Holy crap.
I did not expect that, but it was cool, and it makes sense in a way because that's first round New Japan Cup match, Kojima and Cobb. So if you were watching and you saw my eyes get really big during that, it was because I went to look to see who Okada's first round opponent in the New Japan Cup is, and it's Shingo Takagi.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! That is gonna rule. Mm-hmm. Holy shit!
That is nuts.
That was a fun little tag match, and yeah, man. Tenkoji, one of the greatest, New Japan tag teams in New Japan history. They got a win here. Kojima can still, we've seen he's been in a couple of plush positions this year and had like really good singles matches. One thing that we did not mention, we were talking about the Road 2 shows. They had to shuffle some cards around when Naito was injured. And on one of the shows last week, we got Sonata and Yuji Nagata in a singles match. And that was really fucking good. I just want to bring that up while I was thinking about it.
On the subject
on the subject of the third generation still turning it up when it counts. Yeah, Nagata and Sonata had a hell of a match. But yeah, Kojima with the win over Cobb, and Kojima and Jeff Cobb in the New Japan Cup sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, this is why I'm like, I have no idea how the New Japan Cup is going to go because there's so many guys in it, and I'm like, they're starting off with Okada versus Shingo. I don't want either of them to lose in the first round, but one of them's gotta. Right. We move on to Chase Owens, Evil, Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and Toru Yano. So yesterday was the deconstructed match of this one. I wrote, this is a pointless match considering all of them had singles matches yesterday. Isn't this a bit backwards? Isn't it supposed to go 6-man and then we break out to the singles because they all have problems with each other? Basically, this match was pretty short. Nothing happened. We had Goto and Togo bullshit on the outside, basically rehashing of yesterday's matchups. Okada taps out Chase Owens with the money clip.
Yeah, so Chase Owens is carrying around the Texas Heavyweight Championship now. And as a resident of the state of Texas, I demand that Okada get a shot at the Texas Heavyweight Championship.
So what's the lineage on that one? Because it used to be the NWA, so who's in charge of it? Or is it just like a completely defunct title that nobody actually has ownership on?
So I think that Dr. Tom Pritchard had the belt and gave it to Chase Owens, and this is just the thing that they're doing, and it's not like... So they're claiming that it's the old NWA Texas Heavyweight title, but it's, it's a belt that Chase Owens is carrying around. I guess it's the... If Fuck it. The IWGP Texas Heavyweight title. I'm fine with it.
Then we move on to the tag title match in the heavyweight division. We have Yoshi-Hashi and Hirooki Goto versus the Gorillas of Destiny. Goto and Yoshi-Hashi attack before the bell to get a jump on God. They even grab Jado and throw him into the ring to give him the war drums. I was calling it the drum circle until they finally actually gave it a name, but they're calling it the war drums. And I think they need to put a little bit more mustard on those war drums because they look weak as hell. Big power bomb to Yoshi-Hashi from Tonga Loa, and they play it off like Yoshi-Hashi was knocked out. Of course, he was not. God work over Yoshi-Hashi for quite a bit. Goto gets a tag and tries to turn things around, but ends up being more of a back and forth. Goto and Tonga Loa knock each other down with lariats at the same time. Yoshi-Hashi actually makes out pretty well against Tanga with a couple shoulder blocks and a headhunter, a lariat out of the corner for a 2 count, working at really high speed. Yoshi-Hashi is then taken out by God, but when they go for the double splashes on Yoshi-Hashi, Yoshi-Hashi moves out of the way of Tonga Loa, and Tanga gets pushed off the top rope by Goto. Jado creates a distraction, but it doesn't end up phasing Goto. He ends up taking out God anyways, hits a running bulldog for a 2 count. Tonga Loa breaks up a GYR. Yoshi-Hashi breaks up a magic killer attempt. We have everybody, the spot where everybody gets their stuff in, one guy after another until everybody is down. We have some high-speed rope work from Goto and Tama, running lots of misdirections and reversals. Close near fall when Yoshi-Hashi and Goto hit a double team super kick elbow drop. And then Tonga Loa runs in and tries to hit Yoshi-Hashi with the belt as the ref is distracted. Goto ends up getting hit by Jado with the kendo stick, and then Tonga hits the gun stun and gets the pin. So God retains the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships.
This was a good professional wrestling tag team match. I enjoyed it.
The interesting thing was what happened post-match by commentary. Because they were postulating, well, who's going to be the team to be able to take on God. They mentioned Finjuice. They mentioned that Finjuice and the Good Brothers tagged on Impact. They also postulate, could it be a team from another promotion? So more teases.
FTR.
Yeah, I want to see FTR so bad in New Japan.
Yes.
But now we're getting it from all sides. New Japan also teasing the outside
the Forbidden Door.
The Forbidden Door, yes. So interesting there. Glad to see it, and I can't wait to see some of these things, especially as the world opens up. Hopefully near the end of the year we'll be kind of back to normal, and maybe we can see FTR in the World Tag League at the end of the year.
God, that's my main. We talked about it when we did our little roundtable thing. The 2 main teams from AEW that I want to see in New Japan are FTR and the Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah. Then we move on to the Great-O-Kahn challenging for the Never Open Heavyweight Championship against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Khan is out there wearing his parachute pants again. Stick to the trunks, dude. It just looks ridiculous.
Big match parachute pants.
Kind of a weird. We have the interaction with Khan and Tsuji on the outside. We have Khan holding Tanahashi, wanting Tsuji to punch Tanahashi. Tsuji balls up his fist but does nothing. Kahn works over the knee with some ridiculous looking knee tweaks. It's like, that wouldn't hurt if you did that. I don't know what you were trying to go for. You might want to get some more jiu-jitsu training and maybe work your knee bar a little better. Tanahashi returns the favor with some dragon screws, drop kick to the knee. They claw each other's faces. Kahn pulls the ref in front of Tanahashi, so the ref gets knocked over. Kahn hits a closed fist right hook. Kahn wants Tsuji to throw him a chair. Tsuji grabs one from underneath the ring, and he's hesitating, and then he slides it over to Tanahashi, who sets it up and sits in it. And mocks Great-O-Kahn with the crossing the arms, where he always sits up in the top on the top turnbuckle. So Kahn runs at Tanahashi. Tanahashi toe hold drops him into the chair. Kahn fires.
Ode to Raven. Ode to Raven. Drop toe hold in the chair.
Yeah.
This is what the Raven always did for years and years. I appreciated that.
Kahn fires back with a big bicycle kick. Tanahashi counters an eliminator with a sling blade. Tanahashi hits Asa's high, misses the high fly flow. Kahn comes back with a heavy shoulder block. Tanahashi hits 2 sling blades in a row. But Kahn wipes out Tanahashi with a big lariat for a 2 count, and then Tanahashi reverses a eliminator right into a crucifix bomb pin and gets the victory and retains the never openweight championship. The correct outcome.
Was awesome. Yeah, this match was awesome. It was like a lot better than a Tokyo Dome match, and yeah, I was surprised but pleased by the result as well.
I don't think I was surprised about the result. I was pretty sure he was not going to win. That would be I think they realize he is not, that level.
Yeah, but this was a really, really strong match here. So, yeah, good. And Tanahashi going forward with the Never title. So I was afeared that they were going to put my Never title on the Great-O-Kahn, but Tanahashi still has it and is going forward. So excited to see that.
Yeah, I think they're slowly. They might be. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm pretty sure they know that the Great-O-Kahn is not at that level, especially because given the bracket, they're bumping him out in the first round, or at least they better be bumping him out in the first round of the New Japan Cup, given that he's facing Naito in the first round. So it's if Kahn wins, we riot type of situation, I think. So, they're bumping it out of the first round of the New Japan Cup. At least they should be. So I guess we'll see how that ends up playing out. But yes, this was a decent match. I mean, Tanahashi can basically carry a paper bag to at least a 3-star. So next up, we have the 3-way, which was this the 3rd or 4th time there's ever been a 3-way for the junior title. I know there was a 4-way a couple of years ago at Wrestle Kingdom. I think it was Marty Scurll, Ospreay. I don't remember who the other 2 were, because those are the 2 who one went in, one went out with the title.
Yeah, and they've done. I remember. I think it was like Prince Devitt, Kota Ibushi, and Loki or something like that. They've done it a couple of times before.
This match starts off. El Phantasmo, Bushi, and El Desperado for the junior heavyweight championship. Everybody basically is fighting everybody to start out. Thankfully, Desperado caused ELP to crotch himself on the top rope when he was doing the excessive rope walking spot, where he walked an entire length and then started going a second length. Still made Desperado look like a bit of an idiot by letting him go so long and not just pulling him off the rope. These spots kind of annoy me. The rope walk spots where your opponent is holding you there. If you go too long, it's like, 2 or 3 steps, I can forgive, but an entire length of the rope and then starting on another, yeah. I mean, even I hate it when the Undertaker does it. I don't like it when Lance Archer does it because it's too damn slow.
It looks so cool when Lance Archer does it, though.
At least he does a moonsault out of it.
Yeah, it's like Don Jardine, but then it's a fucking moonsault. It's really cool. But yeah, the ELP thing is like, I don't know. Within the internal logic of professional wrestling, that's a thing that they do, so whatever.
At least he when he got to the corner, he did like tweak the wrist lock. So at least he kind of like did a little bit of something. ELP does a springboard splash to the floor on Desperado and Bushi, though Bushi basically got a hand wiped across him, and that's about it. ELP and Desperado fight up on the entrance ramp. ELP rips Desperado's mask, gives him a cradle pile driver on the ramp, and then removes Desperado's mask, and ELP puts it on himself and wears it back to the ring, which is actually in the thumbnail of this video if you're watching on YouTube. Bushi hits a missile dropkick off the top in the ring, and then hits a he pops over the top rope and does a Rana onto the floor where ELP was standing. ELP chokes Bushi with his own shirt. They keep saying that there's no DQs in a 3-way, but the ref still gave him a 5 count. So what's he going to do if he didn't release the choke? I'm curious. And still, why are there no DQs in 3-ways? Considering that they DQ'd somebody out of a battle royale at Wrestle Kingdom this year.
Yeah, that's a dumb WWE rule that doesn't make any freaking sense. And then
just kick the guy out of the match and make it a 2. Make it a singles after that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wish when AEW was writing their rule book, I wish they fixed that stip, and they still went with the bad stip. ELP stands on Bushi's balls in the corner in the Tree of Woe. Again, how is this not a DQ in every other match? I'm not even speaking about this match, but he does it in so many matches. He should get tossed out of every match he does that in. Springboard crossbody, and then a lion salt for 2. ELP hits the UFO neck breaker, splash off the top for 2. It's basically been ELP this whole time against Bushi, and then Desperado rejoins the match with a new mask on, and he goes to town on ELP. And again, the ref pulls him off of ELP. Why, if it's a no DQ, why do you pull him off when he's beating the crap out of him? ELP sent to the outside. Desperado hits a crazy flip dive through the ropes and smashes ELP into the barricade. Desperado sends ELP up, sets him up on the top rope and goes up as well, but Juicy I was gonna say Juicy boins the fray. Bushi joins the fray, and we have the powerbomb superplex spot out of the corner. He gets a 2 count on both guys, one after the other. Bushi hits a backstabber on Desperado for 2. ELP gets trapped in the ropes. Bushi hits a code breaker. But ELP ends up getting out of the ropes, tosses Bushi, and tries to steal the pin on Desperado, but Desperado kicks out at 2. ELP hits a Styles Clash on Desperado. Bushi comes in to break the pin, tries a crucifix pin on ELP for 2. ELP hits Desperado with a V-trigger and then attempts a one-winged angel, but Desperado gets out and tries a pin himself for 2. Spinebuster into numero dos. ELP gets pulled back into the middle of the ring, but ends up trying a roll-up for 2. Desperado hit an Olympic slam for a 2 count.
All that.
ELP hits a foot stomp to Desperado, and then a head kick hits a CR2. Bushi grabs the arm of the ref to stop the 3rd count. Bushi hits a code breaker on ELP for 2 count. ELP hits sudden death on Bushi, but Bushi rolls out of the ring so he cannot make the pin. Desperado ducks a sudden death, hits a right punch, and then hits a pinche loco. ELP tries a backslide attempt, and Desperado bridges out and hits a pinche loco, and then another pinche loco, and we have a new IWGP champion in El Desperado. So we have Desperado 2 belts.
Yeah, and so ELP has been doing the thing where he knocks the guy out with a loaded super kick and then does the Undertaker pin. So after Despy hit the 2 pinche locos, he did the Undertaker pin on ELP and won the title. And yeah, I was it sucks about Hiromu, but I wanted to see ELP get the title.
I thought that's what was going to happen, given that they lost the tag titles. So I'm like, oh, they didn't want ELP to be carrying 2 belts, so they had him drop the titles there, and then ELP was going to pick up this title. And then he was going to feud with, say, like Desperado or something.
Yeah, but I think we'll talk about where it's going. And we already mentioned it. It just, for booking reasons, it didn't work for ELP to get the title here. I expect that he'll probably get the title. You think
he wins Best of the Super Juniors now?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. He's won the Super J Cup twice in a row. Yeah, but he's really fucking great, man. So I could see him winning Best of the Super Junior and getting the title shot at Dominion.
Yeah, it's high on the list of possibilities.
Yeah, this was an awesome match.
Yeah, very fun match. I love that Desperado just hit 2 pinche locos without even bothering trying a pin after the first one. Just to pour the salt in the wound on that. I thought that was good. And like you said, the Undertaker pin just for a little bit more gusto on it.
Yeah.
Next up, we had the final match of the evening. This is Tetsuya Naito challenging Kota Ibushi just for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, not including the Heavyweight Championship. This match went a lot differently than I thought it was going to, as far as just the in-ring work. For the most part, there was like 3 spots that they tried to kill each other, but not like 40. So we have a lot of mat work to start off. They move into some striking after that. Naito goes crazy in the corner and pushes Red Shoes down when he comes in to try to pull Naito off. Naito hits a drop kick to the knee, and then this is like the biggest story of the match is Ibushi is just having trouble standing the entire time. He is limping around on this knee. Naito goes nuts on the knee the entire time. On the outside, Naito wants to send Ibushi into the barricade, and Ibushi just collapses before he even makes it to the barricade. Naito works the knee with some elbows, some kicks, some more elbows. He throws on a figure 4 to work over the knee some more. Ibushi drags himself to the ropes. More shots to the knee. Ibushi manages to hit a drop kick to give himself a little bit of time. He hits a standing moonsault for a 2 count. Naito comes back. He hits the leg sweep wrecking ball dropkick in the corner. Naito starts to work on the neck now with a neck breaker, and then I don't even know what to call this, the crucifix choke, because it's very similar to a crucifix pin, but he's more of a kind of like shoving his head forward with his legs. Ibushi hits a knee strike out of a knee breaker attempt, which was pretty cool. Then hits one of the scary spots, which is a high angle German suplex. Naito comes back with a swinging DDT and then works a calf slicer on Ibushi. So going after the knees some more. Ibushi's bleeding from the mouth a little bit. Looks like he just kind of took one in the teeth. I think his teeth were actually bleeding. Naito hit a bunch of elbow strikes to Ibushi's neck over and over. Naito hit a diamond dust out of the corner. We rarely ever see that out of him. Then hits Gloria for a 2 count. Naito set up what looked like was going to be a Poison Rana attempt off the top rope, but Ibushi escapes and pulls Naito off the top rope. Hits a kick to the chest, and then Ibushi hits a crazy outside-in German suplex off the top rope. This is one of the other spots that looks like we're going to kill each other. We get a 2 count, and we have a double down out of that. On the way up, Ibushi hits a Bomaye, hits a last ride powerbomb for a 2 count. Naito avoids a Kamigoye and hits Ibushi with a Valencia, but he cannot follow up. Slow to get up, both of them. Naito hits a few sets of the pull-in elbows that he's been using. Ibushi just spins out of one of them and clobbers Naito, sending him inside out with a massive lariat. Naito runs in and hits a Destino though. And then we have 1, 2, and kick out from Kota Ibushi. Ibushi blocks a second Destino, hits a massive head kick, then a V-trigger, and then a Kamigoye to the back of the head. Naito tries a roll-up out of the pin attempt, but Ibushi pops right back up, hits another Kamigoye for a 2 count, and then Ibushi hits another one with the knee pad down and just collapses on Naito and gets the pinfall to retain the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. So they did not try to kill each other in this one very much compared to all their previous matches. So this was a lot more technical match than you usually see out of these two, but still a good one.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a different kind of Ibushi Naito match, a lot of wrestling and less trying to kill themselves, but a lot of knee work. It was good. Mm-hmm. There were a few spots. I had just written the part about, it's last, they're not trying to kill themselves, and then Ibushi did that deadlift German. And then, that was about the time the match started to kind of kick into gear. Naito hit that Destino, and Kevin Kelly blew his mic out again, screaming.
Yeah. I'm curious where the clip is. I'm curious which end is doing the clipping because he's doing it from home. So I'm thinking it might be in the studio that's suppressing because it's like peaking.
Yeah, because that happened like during the G1 as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ibushi with the Inzui Kamigoye went for the regular one, but Naito countered into a cradle for 2, and then Ibushi with the short Kamigoye and the proper one and the win. And yeah, different. The least terrifying Ibushi Naito match, but still an excellent match, I thought. And then we got El Desperado out for the big challenge.
Yeah, so Desperado comes out and he congratulates Bushi. He talks about how the first time that Desperado ever challenged for the junior belt was against Bushi while he was champion. Against Ibushi while he was champion, but now he, Desperado that is the champion, and he talks about how the anniversary show is usually the junior champion versus the heavyweight champion in a match. But instead of it being non-title, Desperado wants it to be for the double championship that Kota Ibushi is holding. Desperado talks about he's a lot different man now. Kota Ibushi grabs the mic and says it was 8 years ago, and says anytime, any place, and he accepts the challenge. And then Ibushi says, I remember everything about back then. And you sucked in that match. You say you're a changed man. Let's see how good you are. And that's how they leave it. And then Kota Ibushi addresses the crowd and sends them home.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I remember that little, because that was like Ibushi and Desperado challenged the Young Bucks for the junior tag titles, and somewhere in there, Nick Jackson had a singles match with Ibushi for the junior title at Korakuen, and that led into, I guess they had a match at Dominion, or they had a match somewhere that year, but yeah, it's been like, El Desperado has really, really come far along very recently, so I think that'll be a very different type of match, and it's a cool thing. Like I said at the beginning, Destiny's not going to win that match, but there's that little bit of he's won 2 championships in the past week, so that'll be cool.
Jay in the Twitch chat, she says that Ibushi collapsed as he was entering the backstage as well. The camera cut away from it, but
I'm
assuming that it was just selling, but
probably, yeah.
So big news, we have had a press conference today out of Japan, and they are going to be unifying the heavyweight and the intercontinental championships into a new title that they're calling the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Seems to be a lot of people who are not happy with this. I, for one, am fine with it. I gave my reasons on Twitter, but I'll give them here as well. I think at this point, the Never Openweight Championship is the better championship to have as a secondary championship because it can ride the line of both sides of the weight classes. It seems to kind of be the worker title anyways for the most part. And people are making it out like the Intercontinental Championship's like 40 years old, which it didn't even make it to 10 years.
Yeah, and the IWGP title is only
87.
35 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, same age as me. Okay, so I don't know. It kind of makes sense. You have the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, which is kind of like the Heavyweight Championship of Japan. Then you have the Intercontinental Championship, which is, intercontinental. So you merge them, and you have finally because it really should be like the IWGP Heavyweight title has felt like, the World Championship in pro wrestling for the past several years. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like the Intercontinental title, and I would have liked to see it hang around, but creating the IWGP World Heavyweight title, I'm in favor of. So we still have the Never title, and also we have the U.S. Heavyweight title. So the Intercontinental title is pretty well redundant anyway. And when the world goes back to normal, the U.S. title will be back in circulation and will be kind of serving the function that the Intercontinental title was originally intended to, with kind of going between the U.S. and Japan. So, yeah, I think it's fine. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and then also we have we have a new title that was made just 2 years ago in the U.S. The U.S. Heavyweight Championship. I would like after the pandemic for the U.S. Championship to be mostly defended in the U.S. I think that would give it a little bit of a I don't even know what to call it. Some sort of, I don't want to say stipulation, but you know what I mean, parameters of how it's defended, and plus maybe like Wrestle Kingdom or something, mostly in the US and Wrestle Kingdom, once a year.
Yeah.
I
think those in Japan.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's fine, and like I said, at this point, the Never Openweight title, which was only a year younger than the IC title anyways, is kind of the belt that I'm more excited with most of the time, because it seems to be the badasses who are going after it anyways. So
yeah, and so the Ibushi and Desperado match on the anniversary show is for the double titles. It's the last defense of the double titles, and then Ibushi will be given a new belt and will defend.
Assuming that Desperado loses.
Assuming, I know it's hard to believe that El Desperado might not. Despy 4 belts, man, that would be something. But yeah, so whoever the world champion is will make the first defense of the world championship at Sengoku Lord against the winner of the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, so let's get into this New Japan Cup here. The brackets are pretty crazy. It's a 30-man bracket, so that means 2 people are actually getting buys. That being Evil, who is the winner of last year, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, he is getting a buy as well. I'm not sure what qualifies him as being a buy, other than he's number 1, he's Hiroshi Tanahashi, and number 2, he's the never champion. Yeah, I guess
I get. I guess just fuck Kenta then, because he won the New Japan Cup USA last year. Shouldn't he have gotten the bye? But
well,
I digress.
He won the US, and this he's going for the this is a totally different tournament.
But in theory, they are equal. They're not, but in theory, they are equal.
Well, I mean, the prize at the end of the tunnel is either the U.S. Heavyweight Championship or now the World Title. They're not equal.
But I'm glad we are finally getting the match that we were supposed to get at Wrestle Kingdom between Juice Robinson and Kenta, because I think that'll be a good match.
Yeah, so these brackets, we have on the left side, we have Evil getting a bye. Then we have Kojima and Jeff Cobb getting their rematch here, basically after Kojima pinned Cobb in the match that we were just talking about. We have Tetsuya Naito versus Great-O-Kahn in the first round. Khan better go down, or that would be a travesty and a half. Yano versus Bad Luck Fale, which is a don't really care which one goes forward in that one. Hirooki Goto and Taiji. Again, kind of a toss-up there. And then we have the crazy match of Okada versus Shingo Takagi in the first round, which means one of these guys is getting knocked out in the first round, which is bonkers.
Yeah, dude, that match is gonna own so fucking hard. They've never wrestled, have they? Like, they haven't been in the same block in the G1. I don't think they've ever wrestled.
I can't recall, but
yeah, no, they were definitely in different blocks, both of their G1s. So that's a first time ever match. And
Jay says she thinks it was the G1 last year, but or maybe remember.
Did they have a match in the New Japan Cup last year? Maybe I feel like.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they. Hold on, I'm gonna look that up while you go through the.
All right. Next up, we're gonna have Tomoaki Honma versus Minoru Suzuki. That should be pretty much a blowout, I believe, on Suzuki's part. And then we have Juice Robinson versus Kenta as the final match on the left side of the bracket. That should be a cracker, and I'm curious how that one goes down. I mean, if Kenta, really Juice or Kenta, because both of them are basically having to travel back to Japan, and Kenta's going back and forth. Actually, Juice is going back and forth too. So we have a lot of.
Yeah, I was thinking Kenta must have done that match on Dynamite, and then just a couple of days later gone to Japan to
back. Yeah,
sit in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Jay says G1 Night 13.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
Then we have on the right side of the bracket, we have Tenzan versus Will Ospreay. So the other half of the match that we just saw. Gabriel Kidd versus Zack Sabre Jr. That should be a fun one. The two UK kids.
Yes.
That should be a good one. And then we have the Young Lions, Yota Tsuji and Yuji Nagata. Sorry, not Young Lions. Yuji Nagata is not a young lion, but he is taking on Yota Tsuji. We have Tomohiro Ishii versus Sonata in the first round. That should be a fun one. And then we have David Finlay versus Chase Owens. It should be okay. I mean, they're good workers, and Dave Finlay's been actually doing really. He's actually looked really good since the pandemic, since they came back.
Yeah.
Yoshi-Hashi versus Yujiro Takahashi, and then Toa Hinare versus Jay White. The winner of that gets Hiroshi Tanahashi for their first match out of there. I'm assuming Jay White's going to win over Hinare. And Hinare will not be meeting up with his tag partner that he had for a while there.
This is a loaded tournament, man. I need to really sit down and think about the brackets. Just,
I mean, post first round, there's no chaff after post first round, other than Bad Luck Fale or Toriano.
Yeah, I think you know who it might be, and who I think would be great. Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay is probably high on the list. Yeah, I could see him going.
It's I think it's too soon to do Ibushi and Jay White again. It's too soon to do Ibushi and Okada. Too soon to do Ibushi and Naito again. Just looking at I think if I had to make a pick right now, I would go with Will Ospreay. And just looking at these brackets, I want in the second round, I need it to be Minoru Suzuki versus Kenta because that sounds awesome.
Yes. Looking at the bracket that Will Ospreay is in, I think he's making it to at least the semifinals. I think he's taking that block and he'll be all the way to the 20th, the match on the 20th. I don't know who it would go against on the other side. I'm assuming Jay White or Tanahashi is taking that half of the block. So I'm looking for Will Ospreay versus Tanahashi or Jay White in that semifinal match on the right side of the block, most likely. And then on the left side has a lot of guys in it. We have Naito, Jeff Cobb, Evil, even though I don't want him to go anywhere, and then Okada or Shingo. I don't know where to go with that. I mean, could Okada lose to Shingo in this first round here?
He could. I don't. Okay. I'm just gonna take my stab here. I think the final is Ospreay over Okada.
Okay. I mean, that would bring them back around again since they did have that match already earlier this year, so I don't know if they're going to do that match again. Yeah. But I guess they could, because that was actually a banger of a match. So I actually wouldn't mind.
That match was awesome.
Yeah.
And I've been saying, like, I think Ospreay is getting a title shot at Ibushi during this reign, and I think that match will fucking rule. And just looking at and thinking about the matches that have been done recently and don't need to be redone again yet, I bet Will Ospreay and Kota Ibushi at Sumo Hall sounds awesome.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up here?
My dog died yesterday, my 15-year-old dog, so I just want to send my love to Pippi and thank everyone for showing me their love. I know everybody's been through the loss of a pet, especially one that you've been with for a very long time. You know how it's the worst feeling in the world, so thank everybody for that. And was glad to have this to do today and think about something else for a while. But yeah.
Alrighty. So thank you everybody for watching and listening to That's Wrestling. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live both on Twitch and on YouTube, so you can choose your platform of choice. Follow the link in the show notes. Comments, question, feedback, you can leave those either in the video over on YouTube or hit us up over on Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1 at the end, or you can send comments, question, feedback to Eric at that'swrestling.com. If you're watching the video version of this, you can grab it as a podcast on all your favorite podcast apps, or you can grab the RSS feed over at that'swrestling.com. There's a Discord. You can come hang out with us as well. Drop a thumbs up on the video. Give us a review over on your favorite podcast app. And for Trae, Wisecarver, my name is Eric LaRoche, and we'll see you next time on That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.
Bye.